Right. Welcome to all of you. Welcome, as we always say, to your Georgetown. This is not just us. This is a home for all of you, for the community, because that's what we're here to do. We teach, we do research, but we engage, and we engage widely. And I always like to say, you know, we engage not just with Qatar, but with the region. And the region, our region, we define as the Indian Ocean Basin and beyond. Southeast Asia is very, very much part of our remit, of the place we want to link with academically in terms of recruitment of students and so on, in terms of the area that we study. So today, and I should perhaps introduce myself briefly, my name is Gert Nonneman. I'm the Dean of this wonderful institution, Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service in Qatar. Today, it's a special honor, both because of what I've said about our areas of interest, and because our speaker today is someone with quite an extraordinary record, who played an extraordinary role at a crucial period in Indonesian history. I think I'm not the only one who will have followed his career at the time with very sharp interest. One doesn't need to be a political scientist to be interested in what Dr. Habibie achieved in those days, in very challenging circumstances. So a little bit, he's someone who doesn't really need an introduction, but let me just say a little bit, just for the sake of politesse. Dr. Habibie was of course the third president of the Republic of Indonesia at a time when it was undergoing huge transformations leading up to the Indonesia that we know now today. But he was also this fairly unique figure who was not just a national leader, but a scholar and a scientist into the bargain. He's had a host of honorary doctorates from almost any university you care to name, both in Indonesia and outside. But of course, he has the distinction of having a prior genuine doctorate in aeronautical engineering from Germany. And his scientific interest always struck me as being intertwined with the way in which he approached his vision for the development of Indonesia. And there had been a ream of initiatives that had this scientific bent to them, or were underpinned by an appreciation for what science and scientific inquiry could do. Since his days as the leading politician of Indonesia, he hasn't sat still. He's continued his interest in these sorts of areas, both with regard to science and especially politics. Of course, he is now the founder and now the head of the think tank, the Habibie Foundation, which is arguably, well, it's certainly one of the leading think tanks in Indonesia and in ASEAN, and its focus is on democratization. And he remains very, very actively engaged with that subject, both within the country and outside. The foundation publishes a number of academic studies and other things. We have the pleasure of also having the rest of the leadership of it here with us, both from Dr. Habibie's family and others. And it is definitely worth, from what I already discovered, it's very much worth looking into to their work. So I recommend that to you very much. I think, on that note, I should step down and give the word to His Excellency Dr. Habibie, the third President of Indonesia. Afterwards, we will have a brief period of question and answers and discussion, which I'll moderate. But for now, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for your invitation to give some thought or information about optimizing technology and human resources development for economic sustainable in the Islamic world. Somebody has asked me, how the future of any society, especially of Indonesia, will look like. Are you going to rely on natural resources, or natural resources plus human resources, or human resources only plus natural resources? My answer is very clear. You have to rely on the renewable human resources. If you are talking about human resources, then you have to know the values who contribute to a sustainable increase of your productivity and your ability to compete to whoever within your society as well as out your society. You know, today, the world, the population grows, but the world becomes small. The existence of the internet, existence of networking, etc., can give information immediately to whoever. Teaching in the classroom now and during my time are two different things. While you are teaching about the theorem and telling about something, the student have their iPad, check, and they soon will find out whether you are telling the truth or not. It's not so easy. But the problem is also this. During my time, there were no laptop, no iPad, no possibility to get immediately information. So I have to be able to get my memory trained, looking at something, making fast analysis, and keep it in my memory. If you are doing that since you are in the kindergarten, up until you make your PhD, I was lucky. I was 18 as I entered the university in Germany. I was 21, 22 as I make my bachelor in engineering science. I was 23 as I make my Master of Science, Engineering. And I was 28 as I make my PhD. All in engineering, all in logic. But all those stuff I've done by not using a laptop. If I'm doing something, my capital initially is just a piece of paper and a pen. That's all. Today, they take the laptop. You know, the consequences is this, that the memory of the human resource today will, I'm sorry to say, this is the latest state of the art of science, becoming more a kind of flash memory. They will memorize only the principles, and afterwards, looking at the data coming out from the laptop, whatever. Well, you know, I am not a young man. I made my PhD 50 years ago, and I'm on 77. But I also use the laptop and all those stuff. But I don't rely 100% on them. So, it's very dangerous. I've started to talk, I forgot my presentation. So I have to give some thoughts about optimizing technology for human resource development. If I'm talking about productivity, there are three elements which determine the productivity of a human being. That is your culture, your religion, and your understanding and ability about the mechanism and possibilities of development, science, and technology. Technology is a bundle of many disciplines of science. The science is more applied sciences, not the basic science. If you tell me, oh, I'm in the position to use the best technology of heart surgery, oh, I have it, of heart surgery, then it's implicitly many disciplines in medicine, including physics, which you have to understand. If you're telling about, oh, I'm in the position to design, to develop, and to produce a commercial airplane fly-by-wire, oh, there's many disciplines of physics, thermodynamics, structure, aerodynamics, gas dynamics, aeroelastic, etc. You cannot. That is the technology for making airplanes. So because of that, the mechanism of science and technology that you could develop and understand and apply and control, that is the third element. The synergy of your culture and your religion, that you get it through your upbringing. If I meant synergy, for me if 1 + 1 is 2, it's normal. If 1 + 1 is 200, that is positive synergy, because you make more than 2. If 1 + 1 is -2000, that is negative synergy. You have to take care that through your upbringing, the positive synergy will occur between the element of values of religion and values of culture. But it's not enough. In the Islamic world, you tell the quality of your iman and taqwa has to be increased. But that's not enough. You need to increase the ability of mastering, developing, and applying science and technology. And through the synergy of those three elements, you get your productivity. And based on that, you get your innovation. I try to start it to give you some fact. Look here. Muslim population in the world is 1.6 billion, representing 23% of the world's population. In the Asia-Pacific region, we have 62% Muslim. This is 24% of the total population in this region. In the Middle East and North Africa, it's 20%. 93% of the total population in this region is Muslim. In sub-Saharan Africa, 16%. In Europe, 3%. In North America, less than 1%. And in Latin America and Caribbean, less than 1%. Here you see it. You can see from the map. Oh. Next one. I'll give you some figures here. You see, Indonesia had the biggest Muslim society with 209 million over. And then India, 176, and so on, million. Here you see how the Muslim population increased. In the 50s, it's less than 15%. And now it is almost 30%. Here, I'm sorry, almost, that means it is today is around 24%. And projected in 2050, according to this graph, will be around coming to 28%. If I'm giving you this number, it's because in my introduction, I'm going to give a scenario about the renewable human resources. That's why I was mentioning about productivity. That's why Indonesia and any country, including your country here, has to invest in the development of human resources. That's why you're in a university here. You try to become the center of excellence, not only for Qatar, for the Middle East. It's good for the world. It's only good. Because you are making a value added in the brain of the people of this region in the positive sense, and it could contribute to peace. I always say we have to work in such a way that we transform the world, becoming a waiting room of the heaven and not a waiting room of the hell. And that could be only done by the renewable human resources, through a positive synergy of your belief, your religion, your culture, and the understanding ability of developing, applying, and controlling science and technology. I give you here some indicator. If you look at the GDP, Indonesia has now over 1.2 trillion is our GDP. But if you look at the per capita, it's only 5,000. Look, Qatar, okay, you know the GDP, but the GDP per capita is 163. It's 103,000. That is, compared to Indonesia, this is very small. But of course, the living of standard is different, you know? And I'm not going to give a lecture about that. I only want to say that from the Islamic society, who are a member of the G20, is Indonesia. And if you want to know more, You have to read the McKinsey report of 2 years ago. They make a detailed analysis about the future of Indonesia. And they predicted that in another 15 years from now, Indonesia will have a GDP bigger than Germany and bigger than United Kingdom. This is their analysis, not my analysis. I don't care about it. I only care about how to do the transformation and the development of my country based on the renewable human resources. I will talk about the distorted opinion of about Muslim countries. Distorted opinion and issues. This fact. They say the Muslims are not open to the advancement of science and technology. They say the Muslims choose to be left behind with suspicious beliefs and backwardness justified through tradition. That's the issue. And then they say it is incompatible with democracy, etc. So many issues, but it's all wrong. To show you that. Look here, the Middle East. The success of developing the transport industry, Qatar Airlines, Emirates, Etihad, etc., which is able to reach all regions of the world and is able to compete with the world air transport industry. This is a fact. Before, there are other airlines. Second fact. Oh, what's that? Second fact. For example, Qatar. The success of developing the media industry, Al Jazeera, which is competitive and even beat and knock out the domination of Western media that has long been victorious. You see, these are facts. So all those issues, negative issues, was wrong. And don't be surprised. It goes further, you cannot hold that. Third, Indonesia. Able to understand, develop, apply, and control science and technology. Independently develop, design, and produce an advanced, the first fly-by-wire 70 passengers turboprop commercial airplane, the N250, which first flew on August 10, 1995. This is a fact. So I can give some of more example. So there's no reason to have some inferiority complex and things we cannot do. We can. Just wait. But very important is you should be convinced about your mission to do that. And the mission must be peace. And the mission must be to get the world, the whole world, becoming a waiting room for the heaven and not for the hell. To transform the renewable human resources, becoming not a burden, but a potential where you can rely on to bring peace, understanding, not to kill on behalf of God. if you believe in God, then leave it to God whether somebody will die or will be born. And because you love God and you believe in God, you will take care, not killing people. That's one of the reasons why I'm against the death, what do you know? The death, if you are murdered, and then you, the death penalty. I'm against that. I'm sorry to say that. I'm against that. Because if you make something bad, then you have to go into the prison. And you stay not in a hotel, but in a part of the hell. And it is, leave it to God, whether he will die next month or in 100 years. That's why I'm against that. It's my personal, Habibie. And it is not against the teaching, interpretation of the Al-Quran. So, but I'm just a normal engineer and a scientist. So I leave it to you. Oh, what's that? Now, about democracy. The issue was, for example, that the Muslim society is not compatible with democracy. We have proven that. Indonesia was, under the first president, 23 years, was a very authoritarian system. And then taken over by the second president, Suharto. He was 33 years almost authoritarian. And I was faced with the problem. God, man planned, but God decided. Suddenly, I took over from the second president, from a very authoritarian system of 53 years in 517 days. Because I became president, I make every day 1.3 new laws without changing the constitution. What is that, for example? Freedom of the press, freedom to demonstrate. Anybody can make a party, political party. Anybody, as long as it accepted the Constitution. I didn't change the Constitution. I opened the door before, and not only that, I give the freedom to any political people who are in jail, because the jail is just for criminals. If you have a different opinion than the president, so what? If you plan to kill the president, I don't care, because I believe when and how I will die is only in the hand of God. And because of that, I changed it. And we are the biggest Muslim society of the world. I've shown you the fact. Not only that, we are more than 300 ethnic groups. This is the fact. And we have done it peacefully. The second president has to step down, not because he was forced by the demonstration, because he couldn't solve many problems. We had a high inflation rate of 78%. The value of the rupiah went down, has only 20% of the value as before. Capital flight, unemployment grows, no food, etc. Because of that, he stepped down. And at that time, I was elected vice president. I took over and bring it back from an inflation rate of 78% to less than 10%. Interest rate from over 100%, less than 20%. And capital not outflow, coming in, employment, etc., etc., etc. It is possible. Without killing people. No blood. Because of the attitude. I have never planned to become a president or vice president. I was not interested in. I've never planned to become a minister. I have only planned to understand science and technology and make airplane, and not military, commercial airplane, because we are an island state. So of more than 70,000 islands from the east to the west. The distance is bigger than San Francisco, New York. And my concern is how to help my people by making airplane. I cannot buy the airplane. If you buy, you have to pay. The best is you buy with man hours. That means you provide jobs to the people. Give them a chance to understand. But don't be silly and want to make everything. No. If I could pay 40% of an airplane, commercial airplane, so working in Indonesia, the parts making, and the 60%, let's say, imported, it's okay. It is cheaper than for a society like Indonesia, over 200 million people, than importing, paying with your, oh, I still have 10 minutes. That's one of my problems. If once I talk, I forgot that I'm 77 years old. You know, my brain is maybe 17 years or 20, but my muscle. So she told me that I have to stop, but I'm not yet ready. So I make it very fast now. Discrepancy. Also, some Muslim countries have shown progress, but most of the others still lag behind. This indicates by the presence of gaps, such as welfare gaps, education disparities, mastery of technology gaps, the gap in the quality of human resources, etc. Poverty. You know, we have to declare together the war against poverty. It is done already by the Western nation. The United Nations has a program. We have to support them. The majority of the people want it. They all want the heaven waiting room here in the world. But of course, you have a dream. To make the dream come true, you have to work. But you have to work with an attitude based on the roots of your values. The values is your culture. And you believe in God. For me, and for those people who believe in God. But there are some people also who don't believe in God. That is their business. But they do believe in a peaceful world. So we can cooperate also with them. So, a majority of Muslim countries face the issue of poverty and many Muslim communities are living under the poverty lines. Poor human resources cause powerlessness in the competitive world of globalization. Poverty also leads to low access to education and health with all its consequences. And I'm this is my first visit to Qatar. What you have done is a tremendous achievement. But one thing, I thank God with a prayer. You have done not for you, you have done for the people. That's why you invite people. Many center of excellence coming here to teach not only the people of the region. You will contribute to the region, not only to the region, to the world. And the key is information, network. And you are doing that. Today, it's very easy to give the network, to develop network, to use the network, but also dangerous. You could misuse that by distorting information going through the network. And that's why you need technology. You need a system to avoid that this will happen. Poverty also leads to low access to education and health. And this morning, I didn't plan, I didn't know that there was a conference about innovation in health and so on. And suddenly, I was invited to attend that. I tell you, I was very impressed of the whole system, impressed of Her Highness Sheikh Moza, and all those scholars who was talking. And I make a note. If I'm coming home, I will inform. Because I asked, who is from Indonesia here? I was disappointed. There was nobody. So, it will not happen again. I will take care. That I promise, for sure. Because our country has to do a win-win cooperation with whoever. A win-win against the war, against poverty, to make this world a waiting room for the heaven. So I think if I want to talk, to show you more, look at that. So I cannot stop. But unfortunately, I have to attend the dinner with Sheikh Moza. Yeah, and if you apologize, I will stop here. I have soft copy. You can read it by yourself. Thank you very much.